All right, we are ready for our next session. That is going to be tinkering with templates, creating report-driven tools and interfaces, courtesy of Jason Robb.
I'm wearing my shirt socks. You can't see a camera. These are the ones that Rhonda got me. Thank you. So, hi everybody. Good morning. My name is Jason Robb. I am the Speak and Find coordinator at the Southeast Kansas Library System. That's in Kansas, and I have the obligatory Kansas koha. There's lots of people from Kansas here, and sometimes it's confusing. So I thought I would just pop it up here, and it's changed since the last time I presented. So we're excited about that. So I'm from the southeast corner, the little tree in the lower right. We're just right above me. We've also got NORCAT coming online soon, which is the North Central Kansas Library System. They're starting a koha consortium. Michael, who presented yesterday, is the Central. And then we've got a smaller consortium not run by the regional systems in South Central called Share. And then we're also super excited that the state library has picked up koha for state library cards. So we are slowly moving our way across the state, and we're hopeful that the rest of the state picks it up as well. So I already got off on a tangent. This is going to be a little crazy for me, so just bear with me. So Seek and Find is a consortium of 51 libraries. Thank you to Valerie and Jess from Bywater. We went live with our most recent 2 libraries on Monday, so it's been a little bit of a crunch for me. And we're still growing. We're anticipating 2 more libraries next year. So we've been around since 2008, which is why I've been using koha since 2009. So that's why I raised my hand with Ed about being on really, really old versions. So I've been around koha a while. This is my, team presentation at one of these conferences too. So thank you for still letting me present, and I hope this is useful. The topic today is tinkering with templates, and I have it on good authority that George and Christopher and Jesse and Kelly are all going to talk about this a little bit too. So if you have any questions, ask them, not me. This is about the feature that was added in bug 34136. So I put that up there. It's linked in the slides too, so you can get there easily. It's to add the ability to render a report using your notice template. This is coming in 2405, but spoilers, if you're a water customer, it's in the special sauce already. So I've been doing lots of fun stuff with it already. Lucas told me that, and I ran with it. I'm super excited about the potential of this. It kind of blows the doors off of what you can do. You can just create. So it makes me nerd out a little bit, and I just wanted to share it out with everybody today. So goal today, this is gonna get sticky and gross and technical, and you're not gonna understand everything I say. But my overarching goal for you guys is I want you to understand how creative you can be with this tool. So you can make stuff and you can do stuff that you couldn't do with koha before. I'm also going to try and drop some knowledge bombs along the way, some cool little SQL snippets that I figured out, and template toolkit and that sort of thing. So let's see. And I also want this to be less scary because it's going to look scary. I don't want you to be scared. And I want you to know that there are people out there that can help you with it, because I know that we've got all skill levels out here. Some of you are going to understand what I'm talking about, some of you are not. And that's okay. So I wanted to start off to just kind of gauge that actually. How many people have written a SQL report in koha? I like that, okay. How many people have edited a template? How many people have edited a template with template toolkit and not the Hungry Alligators? Okay, fewer. How many people have made a template template from scratch? Yeah, we got like 3 or 4. Okay, good. So yeah, we're gonna try and walk through that live today, so we'll see how that goes. Okay, so it's the book. Now the components. So the way to make this work is you need your report first, and then you kind of need to feed that through a template, and that gets you your results. And then you also need, I put on in UI UX considerations, because you need to think about how people are gonna actually use that tool that you're making. Because it's fun and all to go to reports and run them, and I have a little exercise in that a little bit later. But like, you need to make it easy to use, otherwise people aren't gonna use it great. A few just disclaimers before I get going too far. I do really bad things, and you probably shouldn't follow my example all the time. I don't know that it's super recommended to import external libraries and things like that, but I'm doing it because I want to show you that it's cool and you can do it and it's possible. And it's probably okay because Bioware hasn't taken my ability to do that away yet. Not that they know, maybe they will. Shoot. All right. The next thing I wanted to mention was that my code probably won't work. So I've shared my GitHub repository for this presentation, and a lot of my SQL is using special codes that I built. Like, my collection codes aren't your collection codes, right? So you're not going to just be able to copy and paste most of this stuff, but you will be. I want it to be like an example you can look at and build and create with yourself. And I will also say that it's easy to get overwhelmed because there is so much potential, and I have done this to myself, so take it slow. And don't let the marshmallow burn. And then, yeah, so we're gonna talk about what it is, we're gonna talk about why it's exciting, how to use it, and examples and samples and projects. I have a few in the slides just for posterity, and then we're gonna kind of walk through one and we'll see how bad I crash and burn. So for the SQL portion of what you need to do, the mail merge analogy works pretty well. So what you're doing, how many people have done a mail merge in Word? Yeah, most people. So what that does is you're like taking an Excel spreadsheet, you're putting little, just like hungry alligators, into your Word, and then it populates like letters or an envelope address field. You can do that in Koha now. That's basically what this is. So you're writing a report to pull all the data from Koha that you need, and then you're pushing it into a template to give it a pretty end result. So for the SQL, what you mainly need to know is that each row is going to be one of those letters that you're writing. Each row is the data. The column headers are your references. So in this example, my references are stuff and junk, and then I have a letter with, I'm using column numbers and barcodes here. So I could do a label with it or something like that. There's possibilities for those. The template portion of it is, I put a little walkthrough here of how to get there. But basically the main thing you need to know is when you make a new notice, you're putting it in the reports module. That's what lets the report see the template that you made. And I always just put it in the front section. I don't think it really cares. You can probably put it in the email section too. No, Kelly's saying no. So we put it in the front section. So yeah. And then the results are in the data object, and that's an important thing to recognize. So whenever you're looping through the report in the template, you're going through each B, which is your row, in the data, which is the results of the report. So, and that's really the only template toolkit you need to know aside from how to pull the fields. So you do your for each loop to loop through each row, and then within that you're pulling the different headings, basically. So I tried to color code this a little bit, so the red and the blue, and then you can see the red is stuff and the blue is junk. So that would pull my call number and my barcode into just a string that says call number and barcode. And here's the another better visual representation of that. So we ran the report, we got our step column, our jump column, the rows are circled in green, so that's our B. The data is circled in orange, so that's our data. And then the stuff is red and the jump is blue. And then if I ran that through the template, this is the result I would get. It wouldn't be colored because I didn't actually put that CSS in there, but you could do that. Okay, so back to UI, UX considerations. Running reports is fun, but how many clicks does it take? Any guesses? I got 6. Anybody else? I heard 1 million. You might be closer. Okay, so first you're gonna go to the reports module, that's 1. Then you're gonna go to the guided reports, that's 2, right? Click use saved. You click, I'm gonna click on circulation because that's the report I want to filter down to. Those are my report tabs. They just look a little funky in my system. And then I'm gonna use that search bar. So that's another click to get into the search bar to filter my report down further. Then I get run. Then 6, 7, 8, 9, I'm filling in filters that I added to the report. 10, I click run the report. 11, now we're getting to the new thing. There's a run with template button. And then finally 12, I'm clicking the template. And I've got a hole in 12. That's good, right? I don't have sports, right? It's a high score. Yeah. So just think about that when you're developing these tools. How are people going to actually interact with them? When you click this overview printer, after you run the report, you get a URL. So you can put that link somewhere. And I've been putting them on the front page or the circle page, wherever it needs, like the point of need. Okay, so now we're going to talk about projects. So the first project I did was this isn't the first project, the simplest project I did was this printable insert for kits. So my catalogers were using a Word document for this, so I crossed that out. And basically, so we have these kits that we circulate from the system office. And we want to have a list of their contents. So we put these little pages in there. So there's a contents list with a barcode, call number, that sort of thing. So when it comes back, it's to check in, they can check the contents, that sort of thing. I'm like, that's a lot of typing when you've already typed it in the record. So why not make a little sheet that you can just print out? So that's what this is. The SQL is fairly basic. So we're pulling a call number, title, pages. The scariest part is this barcode one because it's generating the image for me. And then I've also got the barcode itself to add as text. So whenever you're approaching one of these, you want to think about what you want each, you just need each piece of information you're wanting to show. So that's what I've got here. So I've got my call number, I've got my title, I've got the pages field, which is from biblio items, which is the 300. That's where we put all that information in. So that's listing out, it's a small tub with a kit with some plastic blaring things and a saw and blah, 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 blah. And then we use Codabar, so that's, I had to concatenate some A's around it to make it read on the scanners. And then that's the NW7. And if you're needing to generate barcodes, there's a reference on the wiki on how to do this snappy little trick. The template, so this is the point in the presentation where I got tired of putting code because it wasn't going to fit. So I've got links to my GitHub where you can look at it, and it's still not that fun to look at. But it's basically just, okay, here's something else I do a lot and you shouldn't do. I do a lot of inline styling because it's simple in the moment, but you should really be adding classes and then putting in a style tag at the bottom or using, I haven't tried the format section. There's a new format section. It might also work. But typically what I do is I'll put the HTML at the top with the template toolkit, and then I'll just do a style tag at the bottom. And I can show you that when we walk through an example. Go back to this one. So I've got the notice panel is just going to be the piece of paper, basically. my for each loop, and then you can see I'm going through. I've got the call number I'm pulling out. I've got the title. I've got the call number again because that's how their thing was set up. So I was just like, I'm gonna make a copy of what you're doing, and then make it easy for you. The pages, I've added some extra little text, so it contains what's in the pages field. So again, possibilities endless. You just kind of have to know a little bit of each thing. And the end result is this. So you can see that fully on the first page. I've got a print button up here, and this is actually laid out this way just because I'm lazy and I copied and pasted my overview thing where I've got like multiple pages. This one I would never have more than one page, but having the print button is built with jQuery as well. I should mention that. And so that's one of my UI UX considerations for this project. So that's what this slide is showing off. So the things that I've done to make this more usable, every single one of these kits is in the same item type of SEKLS kit. So I leveraged that fact to add a button to every one of those items using jQuery. So you can see the print insert button is just hanging out in the item type field. And it's only going to show up on items with this type. So after the catalogers have put it in, they put the item in, all they have to do is come over here and click print, and then click print on the page, print, and it's done. That's technically 3 clicks, but I'm going to call it a all-in-one. So another thing I did, and is really handy when you're doing anything with templates, is making content editable, and that's just a HTML property. So if you turn that on, then they can go in and make changes if they want to. So I can show you the live version of this too, so it makes sense. But that title where I put the call number up at the top, you could just click in there and backspace it out if they want to put something else. It won't change in the database, but it will change on the printed form or printed sheet. Okay. This is a bigger monster. So this is actually the first project I started with because we're forever having struggles with overdue notices. This is a replacement for that fallback email that we usually use for print notices specifically. So like if the patron doesn't have an email address, then it falls back and generates an email to the library that says these patrons haven't been contacted, please contact them in some way or another. So that's fine, but it's creating a lot of staff work because they have to take that email, format it into a letter, and then send it. And I was like, we don't have to do that. We can do that with CSS, we can lay it out. So then I regretted my decision and the marshmallow got a little more burnt. But it's totally doable, and if you look at this report, I'm sorry, it won't make any sense. But basically what I'm doing is leveraging the fact that those notices are hitting the fallback to print to generate the report that drives the notice generator. I know that doesn't make sense. But basically, what it's doing is if this patron didn't get an email, then it makes them show up on a report that will pull all of their overdue items, not just the ones in that email that got sent. So they get a more complete overdue notice, and the staff can just click a button and print them all in one batch. So really just trying to make that workflow work as a hole-in-one and not a hole-in-12. So this is what it looks like, and this is to avoid that. Well, not really replace it. I still use the emails to notify them that they need to run the tool, but typically they're going to use the tool because it's a lot faster. This one has just links to all the stuff, so we can look briefly, but like I said, you're not going to like it. So lots and lots of code that does lots and lots of stuff, and I wrote it a long time ago, so I probably can't explain it to you anyways. What I do want to say is my theme was tinkering with tinkering with templates and tinker toys were on the first slide, right? So the way I feel about everything coding is that it's a Lego or a tinker toy. I mean, you're just taking pieces and snapping them together. So while this looks intimidating, it's really just pieces that are snapped together. It's a bunch of subqueries and smaller reports that are Frankenstein into one big mess that works. So that's how I approach SQL writing. I want to show you, did I put it in slides? I don't have the output for that, so we can look at that a little bit later. The template itself, again, I don't know much about template toolkit, to be honest. I know you can put these things at the top and then reference them. I don't know. But the neat thing is you can build logic. So I've got my for each loop with the begin data, like we talked about, but I also have if data.size. So if it doesn't have any content, then it's not going to print a notice. So you can build some logic in to be like, oh, that patron had overdues that were sent today, but that's been taken care of. They're not on the report anymore. So the staff knows that they shouldn't be trying to dig for something that's not there anymore. So there's a lot of that sort of logic built in. This is messy. I had the total replacement price in there and it never worked. So that's still in my code, but I don't leverage it. But you can see the letter template sort of coming together here where it's like, we're putting the branch block to get at the top, and then we're putting the patron's address on the left. And the letter portion is here. We're building a table out of it. And I highly recommend using CSS Grid for all of this because it makes layout so much easier with fluxes. And I've got some resources on that at the end. And then you can see these chunks where it's OD1 is pulling the things that are on the first notice, OD2 is things on the second notice that we triggered, 3 is the third notice, then I got a little overdue, the wrapper, or things that are overdue but haven't hit a trigger yet. And then I've got not due yet, which is everything that's still checked out for the patient. So the standard notice is just pulling the first notice or the second. And this is a complete view. So you're sending a letter to the patron of everything that got checked out. So I think that's the value added for the patron. And then again, it's just a letter kind of chunked in here. The contact information for the libraries there, the branch name is there. And I made it generic so that any library, so I got 51 libraries, right? Any library can run this and it should work for them without any extra work. So that's the template, and then the JavaScript for that one is here as well. So I've got a chunk that has the link. Oh gosh, forgot about this. So I like to go down rabbit holes. There's a button. Where is that? Okay, there's a button right here that says today. I don't have any libraries that are open on Sundays, so I went down this rabbit hole of they're going to need Sundays overdues on Monday, right? So I wrote the code in such a way that if you run it on Monday, you get Sundays and Mondays. If you run it on any other day of the week, you get just that day. And it's real stupid. And when you hover the button, it tells you that. It's real stupid and it took me a long time and it wasn't necessary. But I did it anyways. The other things that I did were, so this has the print notice batch on the left, that button. I've got a editing log, and I harvested, I harvested this idea from Lucas to make a button where you can unlock the content editable, which just toggled it on and off. So the library can make changes, lock editing, and then not worry about accidentally back rendering something. There's also this message that I talked about already. Each notice has an exclude button, so if they click that, it excludes it from the print. So it like pulls everything out to print. We use that often at my library because we have like homebound patrons. We don't actually want to send notices, but they generate so that we can look for the items. So that, and then you could also print the notes one at a time. So that's all in that jQuery file. There's some different things that I've magicked up there. There was one, the other advantage of this is it's a live poll of what's overdue. So as opposed to that static email that we're sending, if the library prints these off and does a shelf check and finds some stuff, they can refresh this and then those will come off the notice, so they don't have to go in and manually edit that. Number 3, even more stupid, but I did it because I wanted to see if I could. So infographics look cool, right, guys?
Yeah.
And they're even cooler if Koha does it for you. So what I did was make Koha do it for me. So no more Excel, no more Canva. And this is the one where I'm using an external library and I'm like, probably not what you want to do. But it works. So I did it. So this is sort of what it looks like. And then the SQL and the template are there. We won't dig into that too much other than look at the SQL. I lied, let's look at it. So the SQL on this one I had to reverse engineer sort of how that CSS plugin wants the data formatted, so it does a lot of math. So we're summing what's going into that. I think that's the bar chart. And then down here, we had to do each slice of the pie chart as a calculation. So, and it's got to be like a range from 0 to 1 and 1 to 2 or 2 to 3. So that's what that map looks like if you decide to try and undertake this. But it's sort of clean looking at it now, but it was insane trying to figure it out. In this one, I added some little comments so you can see again the Tinker Toy aspect of it. You're getting chunks. So one chunk of the data is the library date and info, another chunk is the patron count, full filled count, collection count, and then the collection breakdown is here. The most popular book is on there, and I'm using a cover image for that, so I pulled that in with Amazon. Also probably not totally legit, because I didn't ask permission, but I did anyways. Cut that from the recording. Yeah, so here we are. So some highlights from that one. Koha already has some awesome built in, which is amazing. So all you have to do is go look and see which icons you want to use and you can leverage those. So for my registered borrowers, I just went and got some little different people, made it a little diverse, have some old people and some kids and whatnot. And then this is data just pulling from a report. So there's a big old, this is how many borrowers you've got. So what I hate about infographics is they don't always give context. So I want context when I can have it. So an easy way to add context for this is how many new accounts happened in that data range that I ran it for. So I ran it for like a month here, so I got 42 new accounts in that month. This is the charts. Again, super fun to play with. Recommend. I've got a link to it there. It's an open source library. It's still like being developed, so they've got pie charts and bar charts and stuff, but it's not totally done. And then the cover image I did give credit to Amazon on my slides, so. And then that one pulls the title, the author, and how many certs. And I don't think that chunk of my code is working right because it doesn't seem right. But I put it on here because I thought I liked the concept. I like the concept and it'll work at some point. Okay, so this is where I ran out of things to fill in the slides. So the next idea I thought about that would be fun to fumble through together was to create a poster for a display shelf. So a problem we have is that I have a lot of little libraries, don't have a big budget, so their new shelf is pretty sparse. So they want to hold on to their stuff. And I'm like, we got to share, that's the whole consortium. So one idea that we've given them is they can make a poster with cover images of their new stuff. So when it's out, their patrons still know they can go and get it, but it'll hold on it and it'll come right back to them because of local organization. So this isn't exactly that, because this is about sharks. But same concept where what we're going to try to accomplish is to feed it a list of barcodes, and then it'll spit out a little poster with those cover images on it, care of Amazon. Thank you, Jeff Bezos. So let's start with Humble. And that's going to be on my test server. And I'm going to try and use both hands because it will be real awkward if I don't. I did write out instructions, and they're in there's a little picture of a shark on them. You can't see it. That's in my GitHub too if you need that illustration for anything. I'm gonna do what Jason did yesterday and straddle it. That's gonna work well. Okay, so the first thing we need, anybody? What do we start with?
Report.
A report, yes. So we're gonna create a new report. And I'm gonna call it display poster. The field I'm gonna want on this report are the cover image. So I'm gonna select, this isn't gonna work, but the cover image is complicated. So I'm gonna put a placeholder in there for now. I want the cover image, I want the title, I want the author, and I want the barcode. And I'm gonna get that first from Biblio, because I know that, oops, I brought it up. I know that the title author are in the Biblio, and I'm gonna give it aliases because that's what I'm used to, so I called it B. And then I need the barcode that's in the items table, so I'm gonna left join items. I'm gonna call that one I. I'm gonna blame the Zoom controls coming back on the autocomplete, which I'm not on board with. It gets in my way. Okay, so we're gonna join that on Biblio number equals. This is hard to do when you're watching. Biblio number.
Everybody looks that way.
Isn't it me? I'm supposed to turn around and not look at you guys.
Jason, I know there's a bug in the community to make the autocomplete not reappear as you close your parentheses. If anyone wants to go, code that.
Yeah, I want that. Okay. Biblio number equals I. So I call Biblio items BI because Biblio items makes sense to me.
Why do you need Biblio items?
I need Biblio items for the cover because I want the ISBN, and the ISBN lives in Biblio items. Sorry, I didn't explain that. So I don't technically need it right now, but I will need it. Okay, and then I'm gonna put my barcode in. The where, and I want to use a list because I want to do 9 books on this. So instead of doing an equals barcode, I want to do in barcode list, and then we'll call it a list, and that should give me the list box. And I think that's all I need to start. So I'm going to hit save and run it and see what happens. And I have look at all this mess. Don't look at that. I have a list of barcodes for you. So that's my books that I have predetermined. I was gonna do this through the displays module, and it got completely crazy. And by displays, I mean course reserves module because everybody else has course reserves. I got an error. Yay, okay. So it was, I did this last night when I was practicing too. I typed in biblio items again instead of biblio number. I did practice. I'm sure it shows.
We'll edit that out.
Thank you. Okay, so we have results. Step 1 done. Now, next step is gonna get the let's put the cover image first. I'm not gonna type that out because that'll be a lot of fumbling. So I've got those in here. Some helpful SQL snippets. And this one is rendering an Amazon image with a normalized ISBN 10. And all you need to know is that this code does some stuff. And there's a lot, but that's okay. So I'm gonna replace that with that chunk, and we're gonna see if the comments are okay. I think they are. I'll run it one more time.
Huzzah.
Voila. Okay. Oh yeah, huzzah. Sorry. I didn't get on that. So now we have cover images showing our report. Okay, so now it's time for the template. So to make your template, you go to more and tools. Under notices and slips. And that's really slow for some reason. Probably my fault. I'm just gonna make it in Iowa so we don't just scroll through my massive cleanup project that nobody wants to look at. So I went to new notice and then reports. That was a little fast, sorry. But also if you get there and you're not in reports, you can always change it here. I am gonna change this to Iowa. It doesn't actually do anything, and I think there's a bug for that where it will limit notices to branches, but right now everybody can see every template you make, which is a dangerous thing because it can create a big mess in that drop down. So you want to be mindful of that at this point. I'm gonna give it a code that's spelled right, and I'm gonna call it. I didn't mean to misspell that. Okay, and as for Kelly's vigorous head shaking, we're gonna put it in the email section. Print. I think I did one in email and it worked. But it might send an email, so I don't remember. Okay, so poster. All right, so now we have a blank slate here. And yes.
Just to clarify, if you have a special sauce, because you're doing yours off of your test server, right?
Yes.
Which is the upgrade. The special sauce, the message subject is not message subject, it's file name, and they only have the print section.
Oh, that's why I'm confused. Yeah. So 2305, which is what most people are still on, doesn't have all these sections. Christopher said it's just got the print section, so that's where I'm getting confused because my test server is on 2405. So it's got a little more there. Thank you for that point of clarification. So again, I'm not gonna type this because that would be real bad. So I have two different templates in here, one for horizontal, one for vertical, and they're just sort of a starting point. So I'm just gonna copy that and put it in my, this happens to me all the time, too many tabs. Yeah, okay. Nope, didn't copy. What if you close the tabs as you discover you don't need them anymore? That's a great idea, thanks.
No. I wanted to see how many tabs you could get.
Thought you just saw my limit, I couldn't handle anymore. All right, let's try. I do need that one, so I'm not gonna include it. Okay, so just quickly, what this is a page. So the white rectangle, a grid container, so that's gonna be the box inside the white rectangle where everything's gonna live. And then the grid items are gonna be each little item within the grid. And within each of those, I've got right now just stuff and junk, because that's my template terminology, very high tech and professional. The page style is here, so that's what's telling it it's like a piece of paper, 8.5 by 11. Generally, you're not using inches and stuff when you're working with CSS, but when you're working with different things, it sort of does make sense. But you can see that I've made a whole big mess of it. So there's some millimeters, there's some inches, and there's some pixels. So I would recommend being a little more organized than me on that. And then the grid container, you have to define a few properties there. The most important one here, important ones, I guess. The column gap is how much space is between those items. The row gap is how much space this way. Row gap is how much space this way. And then the grid template columns is how it's laid out. So FR is fractional, so there's 3, so it's 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. That's the quick and dirty explanation. I've also got a border around it just so I can see where those items are on the page, and some padding because it gets cozy without padding. Okay. Oh, I already have one called poster. Poster 2. I love these little save and continue buttons because they bring the page back for me. I use that a lot. Okay, we need to get back to the report, which I totally closed. I needed it, you were right. I also have a lot of reports and it takes this page a long time to load, so don't look at that either. Okay, here's my display poster. I need to rerun it with my list of barcodes. And now I've got my run with template. You won't see this button until you've made your first reports template, and then it shows up. And in 2003-05, it got some weird bugginess with it, but they fixed that in 2004-05. So, let's see. This one is the poster generator we just made. And we've got boxes on the page, which is what I was looking for. Because I haven't changed anything in the notice, right? I've still just got placeholders for stuff and junk. So the next step is going to be to add some stuff and junk. So again, I like to open the report so I can reference those column headings again. Generally on this one, it's gonna make sense because I've got title, author, those are standard. I just need to know that I called it cover. So we'll go back to the template here. I changed the terminology a little bit because I thought it would maybe make more sense to call it row in data. That's just an alias. So on my slides, it was E in data, but I can call it, this is pulling from the row in the data. So I want to do the cover, row.cover, and I want to do the row.title. So I don't actually need author for this one, I just put it on there for the heck of it. Save. We'll refresh. And now I have a grid of book covers and titles. So that's okay. I mean, it could look prettier, right? So if we want to put lipstick on the shark, what do we use? This is a throwback reference. CSS, Barbara got it. Okay, so we're gonna put our CSS in the style section down here. Let's see. So I want to center those grid items. So I'm just gonna add the magic and probably not right way to do it. Text align center. And so I do a lot of failing forward and tinkering. So that's my method, and I wanted to show my method in case anybody else finds that helpful, but it is a lot of save, check, until I get to the point I want to get to. So let's see if my rule worked. Yeah, so now those are centered within the box, and the titles are centered, and I like that a lot more. Another thing I want to add, my time, I got 15 minutes, we can keep going. So it would be helpful to have some headings on here. So I'm gonna do an H1 that says, I can actually put that in my notes. I think let's call it sharp reads. I think that's what it was. And I want to give that a class so that I can style it. I also want a second level heading in H2. Sorry, there's heavy breathing in the mic too. This is an ASMR session. Subtitle. It's called Watch Jason Do His Work in front of you at the presentation. 2, and I forget my quirky little thing. It was like take a bite out of these books. I didn't think of that. I stole it. Another thing I love is emojis. They used to be not cool, and it's not working on this keyboard, so I'm not going to do it. And forget I mentioned it. There it is. They used to be unprofessional and not cool, but now they're so cool. And there's a shark one, and it's going to take me a while to find it, so we may not dig for it, but pretend we found it, and it's actually not a balloon. So emojis are an easy way to add icons without going through the trouble of figuring out, all that font awesome business. Okay, so let's just save it and see what that looks like. Oh, I also wanted to add just a line. This is way easier to do Canva probably. But once you get the template set up, it's a matter of dumping the barcodes in, 9 barcodes into it, changing some words, and you should be done. Again, this is just sort of proof of concept, not really ready for prime time, but I thought it'd be fun to play this. So now I've got my heading, I've got my take a bite out of these books, and those need some extra style. So one thing I wanted to do is center them. So my title and my subtitle are in that magic text center. And then my title is gonna be big. So my font size should be 84. Again, I'm going pixel with this one because that's what I know. Subtitle, that's gonna be 46. What the font? You want a font? I can add a font. I have that somewhere.
Hi.
I'm staying in the same house as Michael. He's actually just right next door to me, so I don't want to get murdered in my sleep. I did want to show you how sort of simply easy it is to get a Google font though. So we go to fonts.google.com. I know Original Surfer, when spelled correctly, is a little Sharpie. There it is. So I'm going to get that font. I'm going to embed it. This is going too fast and I'm aware, but I have other stuff to show you. So import. I'm going to put I already have style tags, so I just need to copy that part of it. So I'm gonna paste that in, and then this is how we reference it. I'm gonna take that down to my title and add that in. And I know that I don't want that to be 400, I want it to be bold. And I don't think I wrote down everything else I changed, so let's just see what it looks like. I will note that when you're playing with these templates, if you break something specifically within the template toolkit, you'll get errors, which are helpful to know that you did something wrong and to back it up. That was pretty forgiving. All right, oh, it worked. My sharks were a little smaller than the balloons, yes, so. Or am I afraid to draw? So that's sort of a start to finish kind of project. We can run it with this other one, my practice, see if I did anything else special. Yes, it's their sharks. Here we go. So I also put a background image on there. I got that off of Unsplash. It was free. And when I did that, I inserted the font colors. So it would pop out, made a little emoji wave line at the bottom. So it's something about what you do with it. And I just wanted to show what you can do with it, what's possible. Like, again, blow the doors off of Koha. And I'm a big advocate for using Koha for things if you can use Koha for things. So like for our kids even, I'm excited that we're going to be able to use the bookings module that's coming up instead of tracking that outside of Koha. So anytime I can make Koha bend to my will and do something cool, I'm going to try and do that. I did want to show one more example. I've got a few more minutes and then we can take some questions. So, and this is in my slides, is under construction because I literally just started on it last night at like 11. But I thought it was a cool concept that I just wanted to share. It came out of my brain. So, let's see. This one is staff picks, and it incorporates some of the things we talked about before. Here's my list of barcodes. There we go. Okay, so one thing I wanted to show off was the ability to generate QR codes, which I think is really, really handy. And just to show off the sequel on that a little bit, what it's doing is putting in the direct URL to place a hold for this item. So the idea behind this one is it's a staff picks sheet that you can put up and the patron can walk over, read the staff's review that they type in there, hit the QR code with their phone and put it on hold. So let me run the template on that one. So just to start, but this is the sort of layout I was thinking, and then they could type the month in there. You could also generate that out of the report, like grab the current month and use template toolkit to pull that in. I put little star emojis that are editable so the staff member can say, oh, it was only 3 stars for me. I don't know why they use that as their staff pick, but they just changed it. And then they did paste the review in here and sign it and just do like a sheet of that. Oh, one thing I didn't talk about much was the logic. So like in this one I built in the logic where if it has an author, we put the by in there. If it doesn't have an author, like this one, then it omits that, and that's just an if, like if author do it. So pretty straightforward. I think that's probably enough for me. Did I drop some knowledge bombs?
Yeah.
Okay. Slide back up. So my slides do have a resource section, and the slides are here. My contact information is on both, so I'll put this one up in case you want the slide. There's a QR code there. All right, ask any questions.
There are lots of online comments, too many to read them all, but they all say, this is incredible, this is great, Jason's a hero. Somebody on the other side of the room, where is that comment? Nominate Jason for the Reports Hero Award.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of positive feedback here and a lot of sharks.
Good. That's what we like around here. So I'm from Kansas, we got sharks, guys. They're in the ground, as Greg said. They're there.
Great job, Jason,
Thank you.
with all those online comments. Where is it in the code that you're making the content editable?
Oh, I can show you. That's just an HTML property. So it's in the template. And then like if I wanted the title to be content editable, it's just content editable equals true. So then when I run that, I would be able to type, like delete that title out and put something new in.
This is amazing again. So I have an outstanding request that I keep saying no to from one of my staff, that she wants to put cover images into the patron summary, the account summary. Do you think I could do it with this, or would I have to learn something else?
So probably jQuery would be your best bet there. The problem with cover images is it's hard. I mean, I'm rendering it from Amazon, so only if Amazon has it can I pull it. George has something to say.
Yeah, the issue with the account summary, you're talking about the printable account summary. There isn't a template for that. That's hard coded into Koha. So that's the only print feature in that drop down in the checkout menu that isn't.
You can just make your own one.
Yeah, but now you can make your own and add it in there.
Yeah, I didn't understand. Yeah, you can definitely do that.
For the existing account summary, you would have to use jQuery to put that code in there, and that would just be.
I could make a fake one.
But you can make a new one, absolutely.
Make a new one, you can add the link to that drop down list with jQuery, and then it's just a click and you're there.
I won't tell her that.
Don't tell her until Jason's told that.
Maybe wait a while.
All right, thank you, Jason.